It's Friday, yes, and you know what that is. It is Bordeaux time. And today we have something very special for you. Something that has never been done before, actually, here at Wine Exchange. Basically, we are offering today Chateau Pontet-Canet. That's right, Pontet-Canet. I mean, this wine sells out all the time. It sells out on futures. It sells out every time we get it. We put it in the store. We have a few remaining bottles and boom, it's gone. Why? Because the wine is great. And it has been great for many, many, many years. Actually, it was 1994 when a young Alfred Tesseron took over for his father. And I remember him telling me, he's like, his father was like, okay, Alfred, this is it, 94, you go. And he started like dropping fruit, and his dad is going, what are you doing? I'm trying to make great wine, Father. And that he did. And he really turned over the property. And he brought in a guy named Jean-Michel Combe. And Jean-Michel Combe was a very innovative winemaker, but one of the things that he brought to Pontet-Canet was biodynamics. And this was something that was pretty much in its infant stages, especially in Bordeaux, because Bordeaux is a tough place to be biodynamic when it rains a lot sometimes, and if it does, you're in trouble. And I remember one vintage that I was at the Chateau, and I asked Alfred, I said, are you bottling now? Because there's hardly any wine in the Chateau. And you know, Pontet-Canet is one of the largest properties in Pauillac. And he says, no, biodynamics, you live by the sword, you die by the sword, and that is my whole vintage. And so it's interesting, you know, when you commit to something like that, and you have to, you know, you're sitting there, you're constantly looking at the weather, and you're thinking to yourself, oh please, oh please, oh please, oh please, oh please. And well, like I said, sometimes you get rain in Bordeaux because it is on the coast in the Atlantic, and sometimes you get that Atlantic influence. And kind of like this year, they're having a struggle here in year 2024. So we'll see how that ends up, you know, when we head over there next year. But that being said, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the 2021. And 2021 was an interesting vintage, you know, because you have 15, 16, 18, 19, 20. I mean, great vintages. I mean, this wine hit 100 points on a couple of those vintages. And then you have 21. And what 21 is kind of like going back to the old days of Bordeaux, a very classic Bordeaux. You know, I remember this was in the 2004 vintage when I was at Margaux, and this was after the 2003 vintage. And I remember I was tasting with Paul Pontellier, and there was a group of guys from an English merchant, I won't mention their name, and when they're tasting the 2004, they're going, oh, it's a classic vintage, and back to where we love Bordeaux, a classic claret. Well, that's 2021. It's a very classic, elegant, pretty, broad, wonderful vintage that probably you can drink sooner than the 20s, the 22s, the 1918, 70s, well, not 70s, 16. But don't get me wrong, those are great vintages. There's a reason why they're great vintages. This was actually the first year for Matthew Besonnet, is the new wine director. Jean-Michel Combes left in 2020, but he left a legacy at Pontet-Canet. And so the one thing that they brought on was, you know, different vessels for aging. You know, they were the ones first to do horse plowing in the fields, to really not to compact the soil. I mean, according to Alfred, I mean, and Jean-Michel at the time, everything is done in the vineyard. I mean, it's great grapes make great wine. And so, so they use, for aging, they brought on a lot of amphora. And amphora is, you know, essentially something the Romans did when they were aging. I think it gives a sense of elegance to the wines, and a lot more people are doing it now. Every shade, there's amphora now, but this was one of the early guys to do it. So essentially for 2021, They use 50% new oak, and they use 35% amphora, which is quite high. Actually, a lot of people have a couple amphoras, they're not really going full on, and Alfred is the innovator that he is, 35% and the rest in 1-year-old barrels. The blend for 2021 is 58% Cabernet Sauvignon, 32% Merlot, 6% Petit Verdot, and the rest Cabernet Franc. 97 points, wine enthusiast, a bunch of 95 points. And the thing is about the 2021 Pontet-Canet, don't want to get the label messed up here. Beautiful bottle, by the way. A little kind of heavy, impressive. And the one thing, everything they do, top notch. It's a great family. So, I just opened this. All these wines could use a decant. They're young. But the one thing you get about Pontet-Canet, there's a little more elegance to these wines. This property is basically sandwiched between Lynch-Bages and Mouton Rothschild. So you're talking magnificent terroir. And again, I think it was 9 and 10 both got 100 points. I think 18 100 points. 20 the 23 there's a range scores. There's hundreds in there. 22 there's range scores with 100. It's a top estate. It's one of the top estates in Pauillac, which is probably the most expensive real estate in the left bank. That's Pauillac. You get that really brambly fruit, but you have silky tannins, and that's one thing that Pontet-Canet is really good at, because Pauillacs can be big, burly wines. So this is more about just refining those tannins to make them super sexy. You get that little cedar and tobacco thing kind of working its way in there. But the one thing I really love about this wine is that it's its silkiness. It just kind of glides across the palate. Man. A 3-drinker. It's fantastic wine. What's really great about this, we had the best price landed in the country, under $100, which is something you don't see. Like 9 and 10 are selling for $250 right now, and it's a wine that you can put in your cellar, we've aged wines around here. It's so great when we pull out like some of these vintages like 08 and 04 and 01, 98. They were not known as like the great vintages of Bordeaux, but boy, they aged fantastic. 85 is one of those vintages. I remember we did I hate the name drop here, but I was invited to an Aubryon vertical. 85 was the best wine of the bunch. 89 wasn't there, but as it's really expensive. But still, there's a place for these wines, and especially at this price. Great wine, great price. You know what to do. Like and subscribe, hit the notification bell. Yes, the tasting room is open, so if you're in the neighborhood, stop on by and have a go at the new tasting machines. They're a lot of fun. And on weekends, there's football on. What do you want? Wine and football.